All right, we're on MMA Nonstop with Malki, Kawa, CEO of First Round Management. So, Malki, let's jump back a couple of weeks and talk Ben Henderson. Man, you cannot blink when he steps into the cage, or you will absolutely miss something. And he's got a huge task in front of him in Jim Miller. If he wins that, should he be in the UFC lightweight title picture?
I think he should be in the actual next title fight, to be honest with you. You're talking about the former WEC champion. If Pettis beats Guida and Pettis goes up and fights for a title, you got to think that the only loss that Ben would have had in the last, 7, 8 fights was Pettis. And if Pettis wins or loses that championship fight, if that's what happens, you've got to think that Ben is right there with him, right? I mean, it took a kick off a cage for Pettis to finish Ben, for it to be, a fight where that's it, Pettis won the fight. Because in reality, I went into that fifth round scoring at 2-2. So that kick, I think, separated Pettis from Ben. So Ben could technically be the guy fighting either Guida or someone for that title shot. So if he goes and beats Jim Miller, which to me, in my opinion, right now, is the clear-cut guy at 155 outside of Gray and Frankie, then I think he deserves the next title shot. That's what I'm going to push for if he beats Jim Miller. Now, this is all about promotion. It's all about pay-per-view buys. It's all about a lot of different factors, and it's also timing. And once he beats him, who knows who the champion will be. Pettis still has to get his shot. So if he beats Guida and then Frankie and Gray have their fight, then Pettis has to go. I just know for a fact that if he beats Jim Miller, I think you got to put Ben Henderson at 1, 2, 3, or 4 for sure. And it will probably be a fight or two away from a championship fight.
Yeah, I agree with you, Malki. I think it's a great fight for Ben. Jim Miller's been on a tear and has put up a great record and a great streak, and he's definitely in contention. So I think a win over Jim would be fantastic for Ben Henderson.
What about Bruce Leroy? He's coming off a first-round loss where he didn't look amazingly sharp, but he's still a guy that you like to watch. What's next for him?
You know what? I spoke to matchmaker Sean Shelby a few days ago in reference to him, and he assured me that he'd probably have a fight in August. We just don't know the opponent yet. He says he's got some people in mind, but, he just took over the Strikeforce stuff, so I'm sure he's sifting through a lot of different things. But you guys can for sure expect to see a better and newer version of Bruce Leroy. Possibly in August. I think we're probably looking the fight night card, the one in Milwaukee on the 14th. But who knows? We may see him in Philly. We can see him in Rio. Never know what they've got. But they said to me possibly August. So Bruce Leroy will be back in August.
Going back to your fighters real quick. You just recently signed some people to First Round Management. You talked about James Head. You mentioned Wagner Rocha. Who are some of the fighters we need to look out for? Who's the next big thing?
The next big thing, I'd have to. Let me tell you, I'm very intrigued by both James Head and Wagner Rocha. Wagner Rocha is a. I mean, I don't know if people know who Pablo Popovich is, but he's probably the world's best jiu-jitsu practitioner today. Wins the Abu Dhabis. He's beaten Marcelo Garcia. There are always epic battles, and this guy is a master of jiu-jitsu. And Wagner Rocha is his top student and one of his black belts, a legit black belt, and he's a really good fighter. And he stepped up to fight Cowboy, which is not an easy task. So I believe that if Wagner can beat Cowboy at 55 on his UFC debut, I think there you have a star in the making. James Head is a guy who beat Gerald Harris, and a lot of people don't know about James Head because he hasn't been in the UFC yet. But this guy beat Gerald Harris, and it wasn't a hard thing for him to do. That being said, I think that James Head has a lot of upside and a lot of potential. I also don't want anyone to sleep on Matt Riddle nor Brad Tavares. I like both fighters. I think both need some work, and with a little bit more training I think Matt's very dedicated, but when I say dedication, I mean like dedication to really learning, different forms of martial arts and stuff like that. These guys also can be very, 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 very good fighters. But I got a couple up and comers here and there that are pretty good. There's a kid by the name of LaFleur that we represent that is the Ring of Combat champ up in New Jersey at 170 pounds. He's an up and comer. Once I get him in, he's gonna be one that's gonna tear through. So look, we haven't even talked about John Howard, another one of my clients. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. He's fighting Martin Kampman. If this guy can beat Martin Kampman, and just refine his game, you're talking about a guy with a lot of, KO power in his fist, and very exciting to watch. So there's a lot of different things, man. It's hard for me to say who's the next one, but there's a couple guys out there that when I see them, I can say, hey, that guy there has it. I like this guy. I like that guy. Most of the guys I sign, I like that. If you notice that my roster of guys, not everybody's necessarily a champion, but I have one in Ben, I have one in John. You know what I mean? Carlos Condit. Well, what am I saying? Carlos Condit's another one who was the WC champ. You look at the different guys I represent. These are all guys that are potentially, could be UFC champions, have been a champion in some league at some point, sometime. And, they're all in their own ways up and coming. Even John Jones, I mean, he's a champion, but he's an up and comer that when he really, really, really learns the sport and gets it to the point that he's really mature with the sport, I think this guy can be a heavyweight and a light heavyweight champion. And I believe that a couple of the guys I represent. So you'll see there's a couple other signings that we've got coming up. I've got a few other guys on the radar that are looking for management that if I sign them, I think they'll be it'll really solidify the first-round management team, and also there'll be some real, true up-and-comers that can possibly make some noise within this UFC.
That's great. I got one last question for you, Malki. A lot of people came to know you after your incident with Matt Mitrione, and you talked a little bit about being charismatic, and you really had an opportunity to kind of show your personality. You've worn, got fired shirts to weigh-ins. You've talked a lot about that. Have you and Matt had the chance to kind of clear the air on that, and what kind of relationship do you have with him now?
No, I mean, I don't have any relationship with him. It just, it's cool. It's business. At the end of the day, he has his end. He wasn't happy with the amount of money he made. I have my reasoning behind it. We've seen each other in public. We said hello to each other. We say hi, bye. He's got his own his representation now. I've got my guys I represent. We just went on our own different ways. It's unfortunate that it happened the way it did, but my personality being the way it is, you give me some lemons, I'm gonna make lemonade out of it. So I just have fun with it, and I wear the Got Fired T-shirt here and there, and you'll see me put the winning and anything that's going on in the media. I got a great one now for the next win, for Thiago's win. I got a good one. I think this one's gonna be real funny. It's kind of based on this whole saga with Bones. Maybe I'll put on a T-shirt that says Miss Manager of the Year. What do you think?
Nice. I like it. I think you always got to take advantage of the situation, and I definitely think you do that. So.
But you know what, though? I want to just tell you this. In all honesty, I only am this charismatic and stuff like that because I try to give back to the fans who really give a lot to the sport. And I respond to everyone, whether they like me or not, because I feel like I'm not above anybody. Just because I represent these fighters, and I know I have a job that a lot of people wish they can do, and I'm thankful for that, and I'm very blessed for that. So my way of giving back is not necessarily, like I said, walking around in a suit and tie and trying to, be Mr. all that. I try to, okay, you think I'm a jerk? Well, tell me why. Well, you did this to this guy. Well, do you know really what happened? Well, so-and-so said this. Well, it doesn't matter what so-and-so said. This is what happened. Well, you should have done it this way. Okay, well, thanks for your input. What do you do for a living? I did that to a guy the other day on Twitter, and he didn't even respond. And then when I said to him, what does that mean? He couldn't really explain what his job was. But yeah, you're going to tell me how to manage fighters, and it's okay. But I do it so the fans can know that if you have a question about this business, whether it's about me, one of my fighters, something I did, or how it needs to be done, I will answer it. I am not above you, better than you. I'm a regular guy. If fans see me out in any of the fights, come pull me to the side. I've sat down. I've had dinner with fans out of nowhere. People I've never met, and that's just the type of guy I am. And a lot of people now, have shown me that it can be to a detriment because it's against, I don't understand where some people come from with their comments and criticism. My fighter got attacked by another fighter. He was called a liar and a fake. This is the world champion. I jumped up on Twitter and I went and defended him. And every fan that said I did something wrong, I responded to him in a respectful way, basically saying I disagree with you or here's my version of it. And people took it as I was being unprofessional for doing so. And I hurt his reputation and image by doing it. And it's all false, statements and things that just don't make sense. So, my personality is, to have fun, to get the job done. I work harder than any other agent in this business. I had surgery 2 days ago. I convinced the doctor to let me stay awake as opposed to putting me under. I promised him that I would not look, I would not gag, but just to let me stay awake so I can answer my phone for when my clients called. I also needed to close 2 deals that I had scheduled at the time I was having surgery because I didn't schedule it correctly. You tell me what other manager in the business does that. And at the same time, I'm on Twitter giving everybody the updates. Like, hey, I'm having this right now, and I just did this. I'm closing that. And I'm letting you know this is what's going on. You really want to get to know your fighters. Follow their fighters' managers. You'll see exactly what goes on day in and day out. So that's just my attitude on it. I like to have fun with this thing. It's a job, but I love doing it. If you don't love what you're doing, then it is a job. For me, this is more fun than it is anything else. And I really work hard to make these fighters a lot of money and to make them, household names and to make them, the icons that everyone looks up to them to be. And that's what my ultimate goal is. And I hope that, the people out there appreciate it. I know my fighters do. I appreciate them. And guys like you who put me on the radio and and put our fighters on the radio, and who help spread the word of MMA and the message of how great these athletes are. You guys should all be commended just as much. And, I thank you for what you guys do. So hopefully the fans can see that. Hopefully, fighters see that. I hope UFC and Strikeforce people and everyone involved in this industry sees that about each other. And we continue to all work together, All
right. So, Malki, how can people follow you a little bit as we're going down? Twitter, Facebook, etc.?
Go to my website. That's where all my fighters are at. FirstRoundManagement.com. Every single one of them are there. You guys will be able to look up things on John Jones, Alan Belcher, Ben Henderson, the whole nine. And I'm also on Twitter, Malki Kawa, MALKIKAWA. I will warn you, once you get on Twitter and you follow me, I am not responsible for whatever you feel, think, or hear, because my Twitter is a very dangerous place to be.
Yeah, well, thank you, Malki, so much. We really appreciate it, and I can agree with you. You definitely are, very approachable. You and I had a good conversation at UFC 126 in Las Vegas, and then you've always been very good to us on Twitter, and we're very excited to have you. It's Malki Kawa, the CEO of First Round Management. You can follow him at twitter.com/Malki Kawa. Malki, thank you so much, and hopefully you'll come back and we'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Anytime you guys want, let me know, including my fighters. They're all ready to go whenever you guys want. I hope the fans, really support you guys. You guys do a wonderful job. Thank you very much. I think you guys are very fair, very honest, and anything I can ever do for you guys, I'm here 100%.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks again to Malki Kawa for stopping by the MMANonstop.com podcast. Check him out at twitter.com/Malki Kawa or go to FirstRoundManagement.com. And keep coming back, folks. Our next interview is Ultimate Fighter Season 13 semifinalist Chris Cope. MMANonstop.com. Fight starts here.